Okay, guys, let me give you guys a little bit of insight on my personal um, dealings with being discriminated against at a workplace, at workplaces. So, a lot of people look at me and they say, "Well, you're white, so you got it good." I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I'm a Portuguese in Canada. You don't got it good. Believe me, you don't got it good." And let me tell you what happened to me when I was in the, you know, kind of in high school, going out of high school, and graduating and moving on forward. I got an interesting story, and I could pull T4s. T4s are like proof of employment. If anyone ever asks, or if anybody wants me to back this up, I can. You don't want to believe me? I don't care. Okay. And my first job that I had on payroll was working for a fast food place over on Dufferin and Castlefield in Toronto. And I worked there for about, I would say, a month. A month. I worked there a month. And I still remember my dad telling me, "You can't tell them you're Portuguese because they won't hire you. You can't tell them, you can't tell them." So this employer, when I went to the job interview, I didn't tell him I was Portuguese. I didn't say nothing, right? And I tried to sway the conversation around, right? When it kind of got to that, because it was very discriminatory in Toronto, right? So I didn't say nothing. I got the job. They called me within, by the time I got home, my home phone was ringing. I pick it up. "Hey, we just talked. Yeah, can you start tomorrow? I'll come in. They'll get me some work clothes, whatever." I started. I was there 1 month. They hired another guy from my high school. The guy from my high school pointed at me and said, "He's Portuguese." And the employer pulled me aside, or the manager pulled me aside, and then asked me, "Why didn't you tell me?" It's like, I didn't think it mattered. And he said, "Well, we couldn't run an ad that said no Portuguese, but no Portuguese. So we're going to have to let you go." And the funny part of that is Family Guy did a whole thing. Type in Family Guy on YouTube, no Portuguese. You're going to laugh your pants off because it's real. And it's something that's been happening for years. Okay, so I got let go, whatever. They gave me a final pay. It wasn't much. And that's it. Then I got another job on Dufferin and Dupont in a produce place. And I was working in produce. I was trimming celery, and what was I doing? Trimming celery, going through, picking out bad produce and stuff, and dumping it. Making sure everything is clean, bringing forward the bananas, bringing forward everything from the storage, from the cold rooms, and bringing everything, setting everything up. And I was there for a surprisingly 8 months. And then they hired a new produce manager there at that location. Came in, had a meeting. First thing he said, "I don't want to deal with Portuguese. I'm not working with Portuguese, so we're going to have to let whoever's Portuguese go." So 4 of us were let go of that. We were sent home, right? I was the first to be sent, and then 2 others after me, and then one. So they kind of gradually let people go, especially with ones that had more seniority, right? And a lot of people that did work there were hiding the fact they were Portuguese. And mind you, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of places of employment I went to where they were really grilling the Portuguese. Like if you were Portuguese, like there's a couple of places of employment that they just wouldn't touch us. We were just untouchable. We were not welcome. And even when I went to the transmission shop I was at for a while, they did not want to hire me. Hear me out. Through a cooperative program from high school. Co-op. They're not paying me. I'm just going there to learn transmissions. Because that's what I did earlier in my early years, was a transmission rebuilder. And they're like, "Oh, we had a Portuguese in here before. He didn't want to work. We don't want no more Portuguese here." I'm like, "So you don't want to give me a chance through the school?" It's like, "Well, I don't know. We're going to have to talk it over." It was a big problem. Then they hired me, and I was one of the best apprentices they had there, right? Okay. So from after that whole produce place, I actually worked for a big lending institution. Huge. I'm not making this up. Huge. I was an account manager there. And because my commute was too far to go to work to the location I was at, they transferred me to Mississauga. So I got a branch position. I got into a branch as a senior account executive in Mississauga. And I'm not there a week. They write me up. I'm like, I don't think I made a I explained this to, what? So they wrote me up. I called my previous branch manager. I said, hey, his name was Sean. I go, Sean, why are they writing me up for it? I don't think I did anything wrong. Oh, that branch manager hates Portuguese people. Okay, so within a month they write me up and they fire me. And then we were in a speakerphone conference in the office with the branch manager and the district manager. So I left my wallet and my keys on the desk when I was in there talking with them. And basically they told me that I'm done with the company. They don't want me there anymore and to take my stuff off the property. So I left the office and I walked around to my desk and I told everyone, sorry guys, they're letting me go. So I'm going to get a box and take my stuff and leave. And then I realized I left my keys and my wallet inside the office. So I walked back around and I went back into the office and the branch manager was still talking to the district manager. And I heard the district manager say clearly to the branch manager, is that Portuguese N-word still in my branch? And I said, whoa. So I got my stuff and I just left. But here's the deal. I called HR and I said, they did this to me and this is what they said and whatever. HR ended up paying me for almost 6 months to a year. They actually continued paying me payroll, even though I was not effectively working for the company anymore, because I think HR believed what I told them. They actually wholeheartedly believed what I said. And I said, yeah, well, why would I make you, like, why? They're like, yeah, we've heard problems and complaints already about this and this and that. And ironically, this is just a few years before they started the big deportation of Portuguese from Ontario. 47,000 families in 2007 and 2008 that were here illegally, but they weren't. They were here on path to citizenship, working, building the infrastructure, right? So that's my experiences. I'll tell you a story about my friend Nuno. My friend Nuno was working at a garage, and mechanic garage. He calls me and says, hey, Mike, can you go to this shop there? I need to get my shoes, my work shoes. I don't want to go back there, right? And I'm like, what's wrong, dude? He's like, just, if you could give me my shoes, I'll tell you later. He didn't have to tell me later. I went over to get his work shoes. The guy put them in a box and says, here's his shoes. And the mechanic at the shop, the manager there was there, is effing Portuguese this, effing Portuguese that, effing this and effing that. And I'm like, holy crap. So when I tell people we weren't liked or disliked, we were very disliked in the community. We were hugely disliked. Just like when that police officer, one day in high school, I skipped off school and went to Buffalo, New York with my friend Nick. We skipped off school because it's only an hour and 20 minutes away. So we went through over the Rainbow Bridge, we went to the Rainbow Mall, we walked around Buffalo for 4 or 5 hours. And then around 3 o'clock, we said, okay, let's head back. We headed back to Toronto. As I'm coming up my street, there was a police car in front of my house. And then he kind of pulled me over on the street, took me out, handcuffed me, put me in the car. And I'm like, for skipping school, like what? And he's like, well, we've got reports that you were, that you were calling your high school with a bomb threat. What? That wasn't me. Why would I do something stupid and pathetic like that? Well, we have reports and they know it's you and they said it was you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, but that's impossible. He's like, no, we got the calls here at this time and this time and that time. And I looked, I'm like, but that's impossible. I was in Buffalo at that time. No. You don't have to. I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? So this is when we crossed the border with just ID, with just a driver's license and ID. I had a couple of pieces of ID on me too, but to allow me to get across the border, right? What an absolute nightmare. He held me in the car, and then my dad, when he was still alive, kept walking up to the car to see if I was okay, what the hell was going on. They wouldn't let me go, and they're like, if I was the judge and the jury and everything, I'd find you guilty and I'd have you charged, and I'd have you do time in 3 to 6 months in a prison for uttering threats. I'm not making this up. The cop let me go because he knew he had nothing, right? And I just couldn't. And then at the high school, oh, but your high school must have been good. Oh, we were hated for being Portuguese in the high school. Oh, yeah, there's other bad students. It was the teachers that hated us. Put your hand up if you speak Portuguese. Go to the back of the class. We don't want to deal with you. That's in the high school. The teachers. So anyways, that was just yeah, it was just a very interesting time, to be alive, a very big learning experience for myself. And then now, 2024, everyone's crying about everything. I'm like, wait, whoa, what? You're, oh, they didn't hire me because you're discriminating against me. No, I don't know about that. Trust me, I've gone through what it's like. I don't know what's going on right now. Now everybody is. This experience that I've had made me stronger. Made me realize to rarely trust anybody. Made me realize to trust myself and believe in myself that I can make it. That's why I'm employed for myself. I'm unemployable. I go to a job or whatever. They're like, "Oh, you're on social media. You're a Portuguese and you're Catholic and you look white." So that even makes it worse for everything. So I'm like all these like targets, like bad, it's all, whammies. All these whammies against me, right? So, anyways, I wanted to share this with you guys, to let you guys know. I mean, you don't want to believe me? I don't give a crap. Believe what you want to believe. But I have T4s to prove I worked at all these places of employment, and I think through the unemployment process, they may have to have a reason for dismissing me. So, and for the finance place, I worked there almost 2 years when I got transferred to Mississauga, and then they fired me there. So it was a 2-year stint there, and that's it, guys. I wanted to let you guys know this. I thought maybe with all this stuff going on that you guys could see that it's not that something that's it's something that's been happening for a while, but select targeted groups are constantly. I would say this to somebody and they would say I was lying. That they held Portuguese school children that spoke Portuguese in Canada. They held them back and waited for their parents to bring in proper documentation to make sure they were allowed in Canada. Like I tell that to people, that happened at Archbishop Romero's Catholic Secondary School, and I think St. Mary's too. Yeah, St. Mary's was one of them too. But you tell that to people, they're like, oh, Canada would never do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I just thought I'd let you guys know this. I just feel like you guys should know this, so a little bit of background. And hopefully my kids are watching this in the future, could look back on this and see some of the struggles we went through too. And that part of life is struggle. And we get through it. And I'm a happy camper. I have a great family, a great wife. I own a little business. I'm taxed to death. The government's taxing me to death for, why? To fund the public sector. And that's it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have you faced this kind of discrimination at a job? And if so, tell us about it. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.